Marina Blackwood stood before her vanity mirror, fastening diamond earrings that caught the morning light streaming through their penthouse windows. At 34, she had built herself into exactly what she'd always envisioned: sharp, successful, and utterly in control. Her marketing firm had just landed the Thornfield Industries account, a coup that would cement her reputation in the city's business elite. "You're up early," Derek's voice carried from the walk-in closet, where he was selecting yet another expensive suit. Her husband of 7 years emerged, adjusting platinum cufflinks that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. "The Thornfield presentation is today," Marina replied, applying her signature red lipstick with practiced precision. "Though I suppose you forgot, considering you'll be at the Henderson Group all day." Derek's reflection appeared behind hers in the mirror, his hands settling on her shoulders in what once would have been an intimate gesture. Now it felt performative, like everything else between them. "About tonight's gala ... He began his tone carefully neutral. Marina's pulse quickened. The Henderson Group's annual charity gala was the social event of the season, where Derek would finally be announced as the new Vice President of Strategic Development. She'd been looking forward to it for weeks. "What about it?" she asked, though something in his voice already had her on edge. "It's just ... You know how these corporate things can be. Lots of shop talk, boring conversations about quarterly projections." His hands moved away from her shoulders, creating distance even in their shared reflection. "You might find it tedious." The dismissal was subtle but unmistakable. Marina had attended dozens of these events, had charmed clients and colleagues with the same expertise she brought to her own business dealings. The suggestion that she couldn't handle corporate conversation was not just insulting, it was strategic. "I see." Marina's voice remained perfectly controlled, though her mind was already racing. "And here I thought you'd want your wife beside you for such an important announcement." Derek's laugh was too casual, too practiced. "Of course I do. I just don't want you to feel obligated if you'd rather have a quiet evening at home." Marina turned to face him fully, studying the man she'd married when they were both hungry young. Professionals clawing their way up their respective ladders. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his designer suit impeccable, but there was something different in his eyes. A distance that hadn't been there 6 months ago. "I'll be there," she said firmly. "Wouldn't miss celebrating your success." Something flickered across Derek's features. Annoyance, perhaps, or resignation. "Great. Wear the blue dress, the one with the conservative neckline. It's more appropriate for this crowd." After Derek left for the office, Marina found herself standing in their kitchen, staring at his forgotten coffee mug on the granite countertop. The blue dress comment bothered her more than his attempt to discourage her attendance. Derek had always loved her in red, said it brought out the fire. In her eyes, when had he started preferring her muted? Her phone buzzed with a text from her assistant. "Thornfield meeting moved to 2 p.m. Your morning is free." Perfect. Marina had some investigating to do. Derek's home office was meticulously organized, every document filed, every surface clean. But Marina knew her husband's habits better than anyone. She found what she was looking for in the third drawer of his desk, his personal phone, the one he claimed was just for work emergencies. The device was still warm, recently used. Marina's corporate instincts kicked in as she scrolled through the messages, her forensic eye catching patterns and inconsistencies like a detective analyzing evidence. The texts with someone named C were frequent, intimate, and damning. "Can't wait to celebrate tonight. Just you and me after the stuffy corporate crowd leaves. Wear the red dress I bought you, the one that drives me crazy." 7 years of marriage, and she still doesn't know what's right in front of her. Marina's hands remained steady as she screenshotted the messages, her business training taking over where her emotions threatened to surge. This wasn't just an affair. It was a calculated betrayal. complete with the red dress he'd specifically asked her not to wear. But as she dug deeper into the phone's contents, Marina discovered something that made the affair look almost quaint. By comparison, bank transfers, expense reports, and email chains that painted a picture of systematic financial manipulation. Derek hadn't just been unfaithful. He'd been stealing. Marina set the phone back exactly where she'd found it and walked to her own office. She had calls to make, favors to collect, and a strategy to develop. Derek thought he was playing chess while she was playing checkers. He was about to learn that his wife had been playing chess all along. She'd just been letting him think he was winning. The gala was still hours away, but Marina's real game was about to begin. Marina's fingers moved across her laptop keyboard with surgical precision, each keystroke building a case that would have made any prosecutor proud. Her morning investigation had revealed that C was Celeste Morrison, a 26-year-old junior, associate at Henderson Group, who joined Derek's team 8 months ago. Coincidentally, right around the time Derek had started working late and taking mysterious weekend business trips. The irony wasn't lost on Marina. While Derek was plotting his escape from their marriage, he'd chosen the one type of woman she'd never see as a threat: young, inexperienced, and completely dependent on his corporate protection. It was almost insulting in its predictability. Marina pulled up Henderson Group's employee directory and studied Celeste's profile photo. Blonde, beautiful in that unthreatened way of someone who'd never had to fight for anything. Her LinkedIn showed a mediocre academic record and a series of entry-level positions that she'd left after less than a year each. The kind of woman who viewed successful men as stepping stones rather than partners. But Derek's infidelity was just the opening act. Marina's real expertise lay in following money trails, and what she'd uncovered in his financial records painted a picture of systematic theft that went far beyond personal betrayal. Her phone rang, interrupting her analysis. Marina Blackwood. Marina, it's Victoria Chun. The voice belonged to her former colleague at Meridian Financial, now a senior forensic accountant with connections throughout the city's corporate landscape. You said you needed a favor? Marina had cultivated relationships across industries for exactly moments like this. I need a discreet background check on financial irregularities at Henderson Group, specifically around their strategic development department. Any particular time frame? Last 18 months. And Victoria? This stays between us. Of course. Give me 2 hours. While waiting for Victoria's report, Marina dove deeper into Derek's digital footprint. His credit card statements revealed a pattern of expensive restaurants, luxury hotels, and jewelry purchases that far exceeded what his salary could support, unless he was supplementing his income through less legitimate means. The hotel charges were particularly telling. The Grandview Suites every other Friday for the past 4 months, always charged to what appeared to be client entertainment accounts. But Marina cross-referenced the dates with Derek's calendar and found no client meetings scheduled for any of those days. Her investigation was interrupted by a text from Derek. Running late tonight. Meet you at the gala instead of driving together. Wear the blue dress. Marina smiled coldly. Even now, he was micromanaging her appearance while planning to celebrate his promotion with his mistress. The audacity was almost admirable. Victoria's call came exactly 2 hours later. Marina, you might want to sit down for this. I'm listening. Henderson Group has been hemorrhaging money from their strategic development budget. Nearly $300,000 over the past year, all cleverly disguised as legitimate expenses. Whoever's behind this knows their way around corporate accounting. Marina's pulse quickened. $300,000 was significantly more than she'd estimated from Derek's personal records. Any suspects? The irregularities all trace back to accounts managed by Derek Blackwood and his team. But here's the interesting part. The spending patterns suggest 2 people working in coordination. someone with access to client accounts, and someone who understands how to manipulate expense reporting. Someone like a junior associate who processes expense reports. Exactly. Marina, is everything all right? This isn't the kind of favor you usually ask for. Marina closed her eyes, feeling the final pieces of her strategy clicking into place. Everything's about to be perfect, Victoria. Thank you. After hanging up, Marina opened her safe and retrieved a small digital recorder she'd used for sensitive client meetings. Tonight would require documentation, and she intended to capture every damning word. The afternoon flew by as Marina prepared for war, disguised as a social engagement. She researched every attendee at tonight's gala, identifying allies, neutral, parties, and potential witnesses. She practiced conversations in her mirror, rehearsing the perfect tone of wounded dignity mixed with steely resolve. Most importantly, she selected her outfit, not the conservative blue dress Derek had requested, but a stunning emerald gown that commanded attention and respect. Tonight, she would not be the invisible corporate wife. She would be the woman who destroyed her husband's career with the same precision he'd used to betray their marriage. At 5 o'clock, Marina received a final text from Derek. Change of plans. Celeste and I need to review presentation materials before the ceremony. See you there. Marina's laugh echoed through their empty penthouse. Derek was so confident in his deception that he was practically advertising his affair. He had no idea that his wife had spent the day building a case that would not only expose his infidelity, but send him to prison. As she applied her makeup with the same attention to detail she brought to million-dollar marketing campaigns, Marina felt a familiar thrill, the same rush she got when she was about to close a deal that would destroy her competition. Tonight, Derek Blackwood would learn that his greatest mistake wasn't betraying his wife. It was underestimating her. The gala would be his coronation. Instead, it would become his funeral. The Meridian Hotel's grand ballroom glittered like a jewelry box, crystal chandeliers casting warm light over the city's business elite. Marina arrived fashionably late, her emerald gown drawing appreciative glances as she moved through the crowd. With the confidence of someone who belonged in every room she entered, she spotted Derek immediately, standing near the bar in animated conversation with a petite blonde who could only be Celeste. Even from across the room, Marina could see the intimate way they leaned toward each other, the casual brush of fingers when Derek handed her a champagne flute, the shared smiles that spoke of private jokes and secret promises. Marina Blackwood. As I live and breathe. The familiar voice belonged to James Thornfield himself, CEO of the company whose account she'd landed just that morning. Congratulations on today's presentation. Brilliant work. Thank you, James. I'm looking forward to our partnership. Marina accepted his kiss on the cheek while keeping Derek in her peripheral vision. How are you enjoying the Henderson Group's hospitality? Impressive turnout. Though I have to say, your husband's promotion is well-deserved. Strategic development has shown remarkable growth under his leadership. Marina's smile remained perfectly composed. Derek is certainly creative with his approaches. As James moved on to other conversations, Marina began her careful navigation of the room. She greeted colleagues, exchanged business cards, and positioned herself strategically to observe Derek and Celeste's interactions. The digital recorder in her purse captured every conversation, building a timeline of the evening that would prove invaluable later. The couple's behavior grew bolder as the evening progressed. During cocktail hour, Marina watched Derek's hand rest possessively on Celeste's lower back as he introduced her to senior executives. When they thought no one was looking, Celeste straightened Derek's tie with an intimacy that made several other wives exchange knowing glances. But the moment it sealed Derek's fate came during dinner. Marina had deliberately seated herself at a table with clear sight lines to Derek's location, close enough to overhear conversations, but far enough away to appear uninvolved. Ladies and gentlemen, Henderson Group CEO Richard Morrison rose to address the crowd. Tonight, we celebrate not just individual achievement, but the kind of innovative thinking that drives our company forward. Marina noticed Morrison's slight emphasis on innovative and wondered if the CEO suspected something about his strategic development department's creative accounting methods. Derek Blackwood has shown exceptional leadership in expanding our client base and streamlining our operational efficiency, Morrison continued. His promotion to vice president is not just recognition of past performance, but an investment in Henderson Group's future. The applause was enthusiastic, and Marina joined in with appropriate spousal pride, while simultaneously noting which executives seemed less enthusiastic than others. Corporate politics often revealed themselves in subtle responses to public announcements. Derek's acceptance speech was polished, confident, and utterly predictable. He thanked the company, praised his team, and made all the expected references to work-life balance and family values. When his eyes found Marina in the crowd, he raised his glass in her direction with a smile that probably looked loving to casual observers. Marina raised her own glass in return, her smile equally convincing. Only she knew she was toasting his downfall. After the ceremony, as guests mingled and congratulated Derek, Marina made her move. She approached the couple during a moment when they positioned themselves near the hotel's outdoor terrace, away from the main crowd. "Darling," Marina said, her voice carrying just the right note of wifely affection. "I've barely seen you all evening." Derek's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "Marina, you remember Celeste Morrison from my team, of course." Marina extended her hand to the younger woman, noting the expensive bracelet on Celeste's wrist, the same bracelet she'd seen charged to Derek's credit card 3 weeks ago. "Congratulations on the team's success. Derek tells me you've been invaluable to him." Celeste's cheeks flushed pink. "Just doing my job, Mrs. Blackwood. Please, call me Marina. We're practically family, considering how much time you and Derek spend together." Marina's tone remained pleasant, but she watched both their faces carefully. All those late nights, weekend meetings, business trips to review client proposals. Derek's jaw tightened. "Marina, perhaps we should." "Oh, I'm not complaining," Marina continued smoothly. "Success requires sacrifice, doesn't it? Though I do hope Henderson Group is adequately compensating you both for all that dedicated service." The comment hit its mark. Celeste glanced nervously at Derek, who was now looking distinctly uncomfortable. "Well," Derek said, forcing brightness into his voice, "I should circulate more. Important to thank everyone who made tonight possible." As he moved away, Marina noticed he didn't invite Celeste to join him, the first crack in their public facade. She also noticed that Celeste remained behind, clearly wanting to say something but unsure how to begin. "He's very lucky to have someone so supportive," Celeste finally offered. Marina's smile was razor-sharp. "We both are. Though luck has a way of running out, doesn't it?" As Marina walked away, she could feel Celeste's confused stare following her. The seed of doubt had been planted. Now it was time to watch Derek's carefully constructed world begin to crumble. The evening was far from over, and Marina's real performance was just beginning. Marina excused herself from the main ballroom and made her way to the hotel's business center, a quiet alcove off the lobby where she could make the calls that would change everything. Her emerald gown drew curious glances from hotel staff, but her authoritative manner discouraged questions. "Victoria, it's Marina. Are you still at the office?" "Working late as usual." "How's the gala? Educational?" "I need you to expedite that Henderson Group report. Can you have everything ready for presentation by tomorrow morning?" "That's aggressive, even for you." "What's the urgency?" Marina watched Derek through the ballroom's glass doors. still playing the role of successful executive while Celeste hovered nearby like an anxious satellite. Let's say I've discovered some irregularities that require immediate attention. I'll have a preliminary report ready by 8 a.m. Marina, whatever you're planning, be careful. Corporate fraud cases can get messy. I'm counting on it. Her next call was to Patricia Hawthorne, senior partner at the city's most ruthless law firm and Marina's former mentor. Patricia answered on the first ring, despite the late hour. Marina, darling, please tell me you're finally ready to leave that marketing firm and come work for me. Not tonight, Patricia. I need legal counsel. Hypothetically speaking, if someone discovered evidence of embezzlement and adultery simultaneously, what would be the most effective way to address both issues? Patricia's laugh was sharp with interest. Hypothetically? Document everything, secure the evidence, and strike fast before they can cover their tracks. Corporate fraud cases move quickly once they start rolling. Are we talking about Derek? Marina had always appreciated Patricia's direct approach. Hypothetically, I'll clear my morning schedule. Bring everything you have. Marina's final call was the most delicate. Richard Morrison, Henderson Group's CEO, was known for his old-school approach to business ethics. She'd met him several times at corporate events and had always sensed he valued integrity above profit margins. Mr. Morrison, this is Marina Blackwood. I apologize for calling so late. Marina, congratulations on the Thornfield account. Quite a coup. What can I do for you? I have some information about Henderson Group that I believe requires your immediate attention. It concerns financial irregularities in the Strategic Development Department. The silence stretched long enough that Marina wondered if the call had dropped. Finally, Morrison spoke, his voice careful and measured. What kind of irregularities? The kind that could destroy your company's reputation if they become public. I'd prefer to discuss this in person, with appropriate documentation. My office. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. And Marina? This conversation never happened until we meet face to face. Marina ended the call and returned to the gala, her mind racing through the logistics of Derek's destruction. She found him holding court near the champagne fountain, regaling a group of junior executives with stories of his latest client acquisitions. Celeste stood just outside the circle, beautiful and young and completely unaware that her career was about to implode. There's my brilliant wife, Derek announced as Marina approached, his arm sliding around her waist in a gesture that once would have thrilled her. Now it felt like a snake coiling around its prey. Just making some business calls. Marina replied, allowing herself to be pulled into the group conversation. You know how it is. Success never sleeps. One of the junior executives, clearly already influenced by too much champagne, leaned forward conspiratorially. Derek's been telling us about some of his more creative approaches to client entertainment. Sounds like strategic development. Knows how to live well. Marina felt Derek's arm tighten around her waist. Creative how? Oh, you know, the executive continued, oblivious to the tension he was creating. Exclusive restaurants, luxury accommodations, that sort of thing. Derek says the key is making clients feel special, whatever the cost. Whatever the cost, Marina repeated thoughtfully. That's certainly one approach to business ethics. Derek's laugh sounded forced. Marina's always been concerned about fiscal responsibility. It's admirable, really, but sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Absolutely, Marina agreed. Though I imagine Henderson Group's accounting department keeps careful track of those expenses. Corporate governance is so important these days. The group's energy shifted slightly, a casual bravado dimming as they sensed undercurrents they couldn't quite identify. Derek steered the conversation towards safer topics, but Marina noticed how his eyes kept finding Celeste across the room, and how Celeste's nervous energy had increased since their earlier conversation. As the evening wound down, Marina watched Derek's behavior with the clinical interest of a scientist observing a specimen. He was starting to make mistakes, small ones, but telling. He checked his phone too frequently. His laughter became too loud, and he began excluding Marina from conversations in ways that were becoming obvious to their colleagues. The final revelation came as they were preparing to leave. Marina excused herself to the ladies' room and found Celeste there, touching up her lipstick with hands that trembled slightly. "Mrs. Blackwood," Celeste began hesitantly, "earlier when you mentioned luck, running out ... what did you mean?" Marina studied the younger woman's reflection in the mirror. Fear was replacing confidence, and doubt was creeping into her eyes. "I meant that choices have consequences, Celeste. And sometimes those consequences arrive faster than we expect." "I don't understand." "You will, very soon." As Marina left the ladies' room, she felt the familiar satisfaction of a strategy perfectly executed. Derek thought he was protecting his secret by keeping her at arm's length tonight. Instead, he had given her the perfect opportunity to plant seeds of paranoia and doubt that would soon blossom into full-scale panic. Tomorrow morning would bring the reckoning. But tonight, Marina wanted to savor the last few hours of Derek's ignorance. AIM was entering its final phase, and she was already 3 moves ahead. Marina arrived at Henderson Group's headquarters at 6:45 a.m., 15 minutes before her scheduled meeting with CEO Richard Morrison. She'd spent the early morning hours organizing her evidence into a presentation that would have impressed her. Most demanding clients, financial records, photographs, recorded conversations, and a timeline that painted an undeniable picture of systematic fraud and personal betrayal. Morrison's office occupied the building's corner, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a commanding view of the city. The man himself was already at his desk, despite the early hour, reading what appeared to be preliminary reports. "Marina, thank you for coming in so early." Morrison gestured to the chair across from his desk. "I've been reviewing some financial discrepancies that my accounting team flagged yesterday evening. Your timing is remarkably coincidental. Or perhaps not coincidental at all." Marina opened her briefcase and placed a thick folder on Morrison's desk. "I believe what I've discovered will correlate with your team's findings." For the next hour, Marina methodically presented her case. Morrison's expression grew increasingly grim as she walked him through Derek's embezzlement scheme, the false vendor accounts, the manipulated expense reports, and Celeste's role as accomplice. When she played selected audio recordings from the previous evening's gala, Morrison's face darkened further. "The affair is certainly damaging to Derek's character," Marina concluded, "but the financial fraud threatens Henderson Group's reputation and legal standing. I estimate the total theft at approximately $320,000, all carefully laundered through Strategic Development's client entertainment and travel budgets." Morrison leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled as he processed the information. This level of systematic fraud would require intimate knowledge of our accounting procedures. Someone would have had to train Celeste Morrison in our internal systems. Someone with 7 years of corporate experience and access to senior-level financial codes, Marina agreed. Someone who understood exactly how to manipulate the system without triggering automatic audit flags. Derek. Morrison's voice was flat with resignation and anger. "God damn it, Marina, I'm sorry. This reflects terribly on our entire organization." "Actually, Richard, it reflects your commitment to ethical business practices. How you handle this situation will demonstrate Henderson Group's integrity to your clients and competitors." Morrison was already reaching for his phone. "Security, legal, and HR need to be here within the hour. Derek and Celeste Morrison need to be suspended immediately, pending a full investigation." Marina gathered her materials, her primary objective accomplished. But as she prepared to leave, Morrison stopped her with a question that had clearly been troubling him. Marina, how long have you known about this? Long enough to document everything properly, not long enough to prevent it entirely. And the affair? How long had that been going on? Marina's composure cracked slightly, revealing the pain beneath her professional efficiency. 8 months, as far as I can determine. Though I suspect Derek had been planning his exit from our marriage much longer than that. Morrison's expression softened with sympathy. For what it's worth, Derek's professional reputation in this city is finished. Word travels fast in our industry, and fraud charges have a way of following people. I appreciate that, Richard. Though honestly, his professional destruction is less important to me than ensuring justice is served. Marina left Henderson Group feeling lighter than she had in months. The morning sun seemed brighter, the city more alive with possibility. Her phone buzzed with a text from Derek. Working from home today? Client meetings all afternoon? Don't wait up. She smiled grimly. Derek was probably with Celeste right now, blissfully unaware that his career and freedom were measured in hours rather than years. Marina's next stop was Patricia Hawthorne's law office, where divorce proceedings would be initiated with the kind of precision that left no room for negotiation. With Derek's fraud documented and his assets about to be frozen, Marina would emerge from their marriage not just unscathed, but significantly wealthier. But the day's most satisfying moment came. That afternoon, when Marina received a call from an unexpected source. Marina Blackwood? This is Alexander Reeves from Titan Industries. I've been following your work with Thornfield, and I'm impressed by your thoroughness in business matters. Marina recognized the name immediately. Alexander Reeves was CEO of Henderson Group's primary competitor, a man known for his aggressive business tactics and remarkable success in corporate acquisitions. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. What can I do for you? I understand you might be looking for new challenges, both professionally and personally. I'd like to discuss some opportunities that might interest you. The implication was clear. Word of Derek's downfall was already spreading through corporate circles, and Marina's role in exposing the fraud had marked her as someone worth knowing. I'm always interested in new opportunities, Marina replied, though I should mention I'm going through some personal transitions at the moment. Alexander's laugh was warm with appreciation. Transitions can be liberating. Why don't we discuss it over dinner? I know an excellent restaurant where we can talk privately. As Marina ended the call, she realized that Derek's betrayal had inadvertently opened doors she never would have considered while playing the role of supportive corporate wife. His attempt to destroy her life had instead freed her to build something far more powerful. 6 months later, Marina stood in her new corner office at Titan Industries, watching through her windows as Derek emerged from the courthouse across the street. His guilty plea had earned him 18 months in federal prison and complete financial ruin. Celeste had testified against him in exchange for probation and community service, their affair crumbling under the weight of legal consequences. Marina's divorce settlement had been swift and decisive. The prenuptial agreement Derek had insisted upon years earlier proved worthless when weighed against criminal fraud charges. Enjoying the view? Alexander's voice came from behind her, accompanied by the familiar warmth of his presence. Marina turned to face the man who had become both her business partner and personal refuge. Their relationship had developed slowly, built on mutual respect and shared ambition rather than desperate passion. It was mature, strategic, and infinitely more satisfying than the naive love she'd wasted on Derek. Justice has its own beauty, Marina replied, accepting the coffee Alexander offered her. Though I have to admit, I prefer looking forward to looking back. Speaking of forward thinking, Alexander said, settling into the chair beside her desk, the Meridian acquisition is moving ahead of schedule. Your marketing strategy is going to revolutionize their entire approach. Marina smiled, feeling the deep satisfaction that came from work that challenged and fulfilled her. Just wait until you see what I have planned for the Henderson Group. Account. You're going after your ex-husband's former employer? I'm going after Henderson Group's business, which they'll be desperate to expand after the scandal Derek created. It's simply good corporate strategy. Alexander's laughter filled the office, rich with admiration and something deeper. Remind me never to underestimate you, Marina Blackwood. Remind me never to let anyone underestimate me again, she replied, raising her coffee cup in a toast to the future she was building, one calculated move at a time. Outside, the city sprawled. Beneath them, full of opportunities and challenges and victories yet to be won. Marina had learned that betrayal could be transformed into power, that endings could become beginnings, and that sometimes the greatest revenge was simply living well. Derek had taught her that lesson, though probably not in the way he'd intended. Now, it was time to show the world exactly what Marina Blackwood could accomplish when she stopped playing someone else's game and started playing her own.